In this video, we're going to discuss the totals accumulation screens for the TrueBlend SB-3 blender, batch blender. The monitor is showing the home screen for the batch blender running a recipe of component 1 is set to 80%, component 2 is set to 15%, component 3 is set to 3%, and component 4 is set to 2%. And in prior videos, we showed you how to change the recipe. In this video, we'll tap this totals button and it will take us to a screen that shows us the totals that have run through each of the components in pounds. It shows the total number of batches that have been made, and it also shows the total for the blender. Now on this screen we actually have two totals. One we call inventory total, the other we call shift. And this allows a user to perhaps clear this total once a shift and maybe clear this once a week or once a month. It's sort of fielder's choice in that regard. So at the end of the shift, if you wanted to record these values, you could just clear them out and you say yes, and then it would start those over and start accumulating over again. All the while the inventory is still in place and will continue on until you clear it separately. So that's what we refer to as system totals on the total screen. We also have the ability to keep track of recipe names. The system has the capability of storing thousands of recipes, and you can actually name them different. The default names are recipe 1 and recipe 2, and in this particular screen we're showing the total value for recipe number 1. We've been running recipe number 1, and this is the total value for that, as opposed to the last value was showing you on a system basis each of the totals for each of the components. So this is the total for the recipes that you've run. If you had run a different recipe, you could perhaps navigate directly to recipe number 20 and it would show you the total for recipe number 20. You can see we haven't run it, so there's no value there. You could also scroll using these nav buttons to scroll through the different recipe numbers. You can page up and navigate about 10 at a time. You can also use a scroll bar over here on the left and scroll to the different recipe numbers that you might want to choose for viewing the totals on. You can also clear these and start them over simply by pressing the clear button, and you get the warning and it clears it out and starts it over. Okay. So that's the totals button. Go back to the home screen. Real quick review, you navigate to it by hitting totals. You get the system totals here, and you get the recipe totals over here. So that concludes the totals discussion about the TrueBlend batch blender. We'll discuss other items in other videos.